Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to work with Lula Build's Subbie adjudication module. So when pricing a tender, it is quite common to subcontract certain portions or trades in a project. So something like tiling might, for example, be subcontracted out, and you might typically ask a few different subcontractors for quotes, and it's then convenient to have a way to compare these quotes to see which subcontractor is the cheapest, and then to commit that subcontractor's rate to your bill of quantities. So Lula Build provides a module called the Subbie adjudication module that you can use to compare such quotes to each other and to commit the cheapest rates or the best rates to your bill of quantities. Alright, but before I show you how to use that module, I first just want to speak about how you will model a subcontractor's rate in Lula Build. So I'm going to open up my interior flooring item. And this item is currently unpriced. And as you know, in Lula Build, all items are priced from so-called first principles, and all rates are modeled in terms of resources. So if you want to plug a Subbie's rate into this item, you'll have to create a resource with which you model the Subbie's rate. Okay, so I'm just going to open up my insert tab and I'm going to create a new resource and just edit this resource on the fly. So let's say this is a tiling Subbie, and you've got a few options now in which you can model this. So the first way is you can simply take the rate that the Subbie has supplied for this item and plug it into the base allowable. So let's say the Subbie is charging £45 per square. Then we can put that into the base allowable, and automatically we can see that the rate of this item is now 45, and the bill item has now been priced according to the rate of the subcontractor. Alright, but if you now have multiple items that you have subcontracted out, you would have to create a new tiling Subbie resource with a new allowable for each of those items. And this can be quite cumbersome. So another option is, instead of plugging the Subbie's rate into its allowable, we can plug the rate into the transform column and give the resource an allowable of 1. Okay, so if we give it an allowable of 1, we can fill in the rate in the transform column, and this then once again gives us a bill item rate of £45. So this now allows us to reuse this Subbie resource in multiple items and to just plug those rates into the transform column. So then we only need one Subbie resource. Alright, and this is also the way in which Lula Build models the pricing of subcontractors. So when we're working with the adjudication module, just keep that in mind. Alright, so let's say we want to ask a few suppliers for tiling quotes. So we can first print out that portion of the bill. So I'm just going to filter out my tiling section of the bill, and we can then print that out and send this off to subcontractors. And I've already defined two subcontractors in Lula Build, Pete's Tilers and Tiling World. So let's say we send this off to both of these suppliers and they send us back their quotes. So they might send their quotes back in an Excel sheet where they just list the items with the rates that they're supplying per unit. And we can then take these quotes from the subcontractors and compare them to each other in Lula Build's Subbie adjudication module. So I can then add an adjudication, and I can open up the adjudication and we can give it a new name. So let's just give it the name tiling adjudication. All right, and the measurement we're adjudicating is the bill measurement, so we're using the bill quantity, and we can then link an adjudication resource. So the resource that I just used in my previous example, we can link up here to represent the Subbie by clicking change. And we can then open up the filter tab and search for tiling resource. Right. Next. Okay, so now we've linked up that tiling Subbie as the adjudication resource, and we can import our BOQ records that we want to adjudicate. So we are interested in the tiling items. So I can just select the tiling bill items and click next. And we want to import it into the bill of quantities section. Okay, so now we've got our items and we've linked up an adjudication resource, and we now need to attach the subcontractors that we are going to be receiving quotes from. So I can open up my Subbies action tab and we can attach Pete's Tilers and Tiling World. Next. And we are now provided with the space to fill in the quotes for these two subcontractors. Okay, so we can either import their quotes directly from Excel, or we can just punch in their quotes. So let's just import Pete's Tyler's rates from Excel. So Lula will need to match up the quoted lines in the Excel sheet to all of the line items in the adjudication. And you can choose how it must match it up. In this case, I'm just going to say it must match it up. The order will be the same, so it can use the order to match them up. And we want to import from Excel. Upload. Let's take that tiling quote. Okay, so that then pulls in that quote for us. And the only column we need to match up is the actual rate from the quote. So here we can say this is the Subbie base rate. And we then need to specify which Subbie's base rate this is referring to. So this is referring to Pete's Tyler's rate. Next. Okay, so that's then been identified. And we can say next. Right, so that will automatically populate Pete's Tyler's rates for you. And here you can see what the total net amount is, which is just the quantity times the rate. And let's just fill in some rates for Tiling World manually. So let's say Tiling World can supply the interior flooring for £41 and the bathroom flooring they can supply for £38 per square, and the bathroom wall tiles, let's say they can supply that for £43. Okay, so now we can compare their totals, the quoted totals, to see who will be the cheapest. So I'm going to open up my totals action tab here, and we can see that in total Pete's Tyler's is the cheapest. It's going to cost us £2,488 if we buy everything from Pete's Tyler's versus £2,548 if we get Tiling World to do the tiling for us. Okay, so something that is quite common as well when working with subcontractors is you might have a subbie that does not quote for a specific rate. So let's say Tiling World does not install bathroom flooring, so we can leave that as blank. And if we now open up the totals tab, we can see that it looks like Tiling World is the cheapest. But this is not a fair comparison because Tiling World is not providing a quote for one of the items. So in order for us to get a more fair comparison, we can actually substitute the unquoted rates of a subcontractor with either the minimum rates of any of the other subcontractors, or the maximum, or the average, or the zero rates. In this case, there's only one other subcontractor. But nevertheless, we can now see that with the minimum rate of Pete's Tyler's, Tiling World is actually more expensive. So this is an indication that Pete's Tyler's is in fact the cheapest subcontractor. And if we want to, we can also copy these rates to the unquoted rates, or we can just switch back to the original rates. And let's just fill in that number again there. It's 38. All right. So now we can apply this adjudication. And when we apply it, we've got a few options. If you've already applied an adjudication previously, you can run an update, which will just update the transforms, or you can do an append. So let's say this is a labor only subbie and your bill items might already include materials. So you don't want the worksheets to be cleared. You only want the adjudication resource to be appended at the end of the worksheet. You can select that option then. Or you might just want to clear the worksheets and insert the adjudication resource and update the transforms, which I'm going to do. And you've got a few options here. You can either select the lowest quotes from any of your suppliers, or you can choose the subbie with the lowest quote in total, which is Pete's Tyler's, which we're going to use. or you can manually select the Subbie if you just want to use a specific Subbie. Alright, so we can apply this, and if we then jump back to our bill of quantities, we can now see that these bill items have been priced with the rates of the subcontractors. And if we then jump into the bathroom flooring, for example, we can actually see the adjudication resource in there, and we can see that the rate has been filled into the transform column. Okay, so the subcontractor adjudication module can really speed up your tendering. So especially if you've got a subcontract out large portions of your bill, you can easily compare quotes with the Subbie adjudication module and commit those quotes to your bill of quantities. And if those quotes have to get updated at any time, you can simply go back to your adjudication, update the rates, and reapply your adjudication, and automatically your bill of quantities will be updated. Okay, so that's all for today, and thanks for joining us.